All right. Hello, I'm Jeremy, and today we're going to talk about the gender pay gap. As far as I'm aware, it's a lie. Could be wrong. I'm not here to change your mind one way or the other, just to show that somewhere along the line there is a lie, because the information should be in. So we're going to be looking at a video with Ben Shapiro and then with Thomas Sowell and Jordan Peterson, where they're all discussing this. And so if you like my videos, like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up at Patreon and Subscribe Star. I was going to say PayPal. And I need more people to help. And so at the end of the video, I'm going to show you all this information together, and it'll give you an idea of the website that I'm going to create. There's going to be a lot of checks and balances with it to help it, and I'm tired of being lied to, because I would rather be doing other things to enjoy my life than listening to lies, which is just a complete waste of your life. I mean, what are you getting out of it if it's just lies all the time? And so we have Ben Shapiro here, where he created a video talking about this, and he just... The frustrating part is that because this is a lie, this is the same thing that's been talked about for literally decades. And it's because they've learned how to say both a lie and a truth at the same time. So I can give an exact example of this. So you can go around to a city or a state, whatever, and you can say, I want all the information of your single 40-year-old doctors at all the hospitals and clinics, and I want to know how much that they make each year. And you get that information, and you will see, yes, there is absolutely a pay gap. It's completely true. But what's wrong with all of that? Everything I said. What do you mean by doctors? Because there's a difference between pediatricians and brain surgeons. They don't make the same. Guess who tends to be pediatricians? Guess who tends to be brain surgeons? What do you mean by how much they get paid each year? Don't you mean how many hours did they work each year? Because studies have found that it doesn't matter what occupation that you're looking at, men on average will work more than 40 hours a week, that if they get called up, they will go in. Women will not. And in fact, they are more likely to take time off to tend to family members, children, people who are sick, or elderly, or just because they want more of a balance between life and work. What do you mean about single 40-year-old males and females? Because there's a difference between men who are in their 40s, who've never been married and don't have children. I'm one of them. And then there's women who they got married after university, and they worked for a while, then they got married, they had children, and then they stopped. And then in their 40s, they got a divorce, they started working again. They're both technically single, but the woman stopped for like 10 or 15 years. So of course the man's going to get more money because he didn't stop working. And that matters. So do you want to have your brain surgery, for example, done by a woman who took a 10 or 15-year hiatus, or someone who's been working continuously the whole time, who's obviously got more experience? Go do that. If you could choose between either one, and that was the only criteria, if they both charged the same, but you could choose between the woman or the man, and this was for your child or for your parent, not for you, screw you, but whoever you cared for about the most. And think of like the three people who are the closest to you, and with all of them. It's like, who are you really going to risk it to? And if you say anything other than a man who's been working continuously, then you're a liar. 100%. Because it has nothing to do with whether the man or woman is better. It's that the man just has more experience. And so we see this nonsense all the time, that men and women are the same. And this is because Joe Biden came on out and said that there's nothing that a woman can do, that men and women can both do the same. That there's nothing that a man can do that a woman can't. And it's like, wrong, absolutely wrong. So I have links in the description below to both this scene from Ben Shapiro and also another link with Thomas Sowell, and he's got some video with Jordan Peterson. If you want to watch a really good one with Thomas Sowell, in 1983 there was this show, and it's still around today. It's called Firing Line, and the host is William F. Buckley Jr. And so if you see the two of them talking, there's this like female lawyer or whatever. That's it. It's back in 1983, and I swear, if you want to see some insanity, watch that one. That woman says the same damn thing 3 times. It's like, how do you not get it in your head? Oh, I see the frustration that Thomas Sowell is having. At first, the first time whenever I watched that video, I thought, well, maybe she is racist. Maybe it's because this is a black man talking to her. But I don't think that's the case anymore. So there are many differences. So women just choose different jobs, and part of that is because men are physically capable of doing jobs that women can't. So I have some friends, I've known people who work out in the oil fields. Women are physically incapable of doing a lot of those jobs because they cannot lift. This means that because of this, there are a lot of construction and labor jobs out there that women just can't do. And that's why with the Olympics, every single year, all the time, women underperform men. All around the world, every single year, without fail. There's no way in hell that you're going to tell me that every single woman who's ever competed in any kind of sports has just somehow decided that she was going to underperform so that men could perform better with everything. You're out of your mind. That has never happened, ever. And so because there's a small pool of people who can do this laborious work, because it's like, well, you can't have children do it, or young boys. Senior citizens can't do it. And then so that just leaves you just really with men. Then they also have to be healthy. They can't be little toothpicks. They can't be overly big. They can't have medical defects or whatever, or be mentally challenged. So that limits the pool that you have to hire from. So there's a lot of incentives. And so like out there with the oil field work, they get paid a lot. A lot. Women work different hours. They work less. They have different life goals. They are definitely different creatures. And you can see this with monkeys. And so they've done this with monkeys. That they've had young monkeys, and they've given them toys, little fire trucks, and dolls. And even with monkeys, the young male monkeys will choose the fire trucks and the flashy toys, and the female monkeys will choose the dolls, and they'll hold them and caress them, and they will look in their eyes. So it's not a cultural thing. This is something that it's everywhere. Also, your credentials play that women have different credentials. Part of that is, and they have a lot of theories that the more successful a man is, that the more opportunities he has with women, and that's not the case with women. And I've seen videos like this, and I don't know if they're legitimate or not, but I've seen quite a few of them where they'll get like some young college girl and go around and just ask guys, hey, do you want to go back to my place, and hubba hubba hubba, and it's like all of them just about say yes, but it reverses and the guy does it, and it's like, no, get out of here. You create completely different responses. And so there's a lot of different things. Ben Shapiro talks about how there was that woman who's with the women's soccer team, and she's a gold medal Olympic winner in the soccer team for the American team. They've won and all this stuff, and she says, I do the same job that they do and all this stuff. And I'm so glad he said this. He said, no, you do not. That's why you do not compete with the men, because they will obliterate you. And so a fact is that so I'm going to go ahead and throw this up right now. I'm going to pause for a second. And so this is what I want the website to look like. It's not going to be like this, but this is an extremely rough way of looking at it. And that is, here's the issue. Here's some of the facts that we know, or all of them. They would have all of them on there. And so the facts is that women do choose different jobs. Women work different hours. They usually work less. Not all the times. Women have different goals in life. They have different credentials. And so with all this stuff right here, you know what? The same thing's true with men. Men choose different jobs. Men and men aren't the same. Joe Rogan had this little comedy special where he talks about this and how there was a woman who was a guard out there for the White House, and a guy just bum rushed her and just went right past her. And he said, if you had Shaquille O'Neal there, it's like he's going to be able to stop that. You know, you want big, strong, insane guys. I saw this TV show, and it wasn't a show. It was more like a documentary. They had this woman on there, and she was like the world's champion boxer. I forgot what her title was, but she had the belt there. She had some little guy and trying to show how strong women are and just as strong as men. It's like, no, that's wrong. That was not the male equivalent. He did not hold any kind of belt because that fool is going to be some kind of a beast. He's going to be able to tear everybody apart there. That guy that they had, it's like I could have torn that guy apart. I don't know what you're talking about. But you know what? This isn't even the same with men. This isn't even the same with women. How can you make that proclamation that all women are the same and all the men are the same, and so the only difference is between men and women? You're out of your mind. That's a lie. And so again, you know, I was talking about women underperforming compared to men in the Olympics. Ben Shapiro brings up that the women's World Soccer Cup team, they lost to the under 15 football team from Dallas. So in other words, a bunch of 14-year-olds beat them. 14-year-old or younger. And this happens all the time. This happens with like basketball and baseball. The best women's teams get beat by high school boys. There was one where they were talking about how the world's record for running, I forgot what the distance was set by this girl. And that at the time, whenever she did it, there were over 300 high school boys who were already running faster than she was. In other words, it didn't matter. They were beating her anyways. Oh, she set a new world's record for the women's run. It's like there were already 300 high school boys who were already doing better. High school boys. And we have other differences. And so I know that women can see colors better than men. I don't know how they've done that, but I've heard that. And I saw this. I was watching some videos about color blindness because they have these glasses that will filter all the light for you somehow, and that if you actually wear them, it'll adjust for you, because that's really cool. What was I watching? I was watching something completely off topic. I was watching a video, and there was a guy who was colorblind, and he got sent these glasses by a buddy, and he started wearing them, and that if you wear them long enough and consistently enough, that it actually cures your color blindness, that your eyes adjust. That's real cool. They're expensive. They're several $100s. So I was watching all this because they had reaction videos of people being able to see like color the first time, and some of them were freaking out. So, you know, some of them were saying, this is a big difference. And it takes a moment for it to adjust too. And they were, in several of the videos, they talked about how it's like 1 in 10 women are colorblind, but 1 in 4 men, or maybe it was 1 in 20. There are women who are colorblind, but there's a lot more men are. And so I guess whenever they figured all this out, that's how they also figured out that women can see colors better than men. Women have thinner skin. And so there was that stupid commercial several years ago with Amy Schumer and that stupid guy, Seth Green or whatever. Oh, what's his name? Oh, I don't care. And they're sitting there and they're eating and drinking and whatever. And Amy's like, well, did you know that women's hygiene products cost more than men? And that's pink tax or whatever the crap they were talking about, and discrimination against women. It's like, you nut job. If it costs more and you don't want to pay it and you think that the men's is cheaper and it's going to work for you, then go buy it. There's nobody stopping you. There's not a cop there preventing you from doing this. It's the same thing with all the rest of this. There's no cop. They don't have cops at colleges and universities saying, no women can come and do these jobs. There's no cops anywhere preventing women from doing any of this stuff. If they want to do it, they can, and vice versa. So women have thinner skin, which is why their hygiene products cost different, because they have different ingredients. Because women's skin is more sensitive. And we know this. I mean, have you never, just shaking hands with a guy and then with a girl and tell that her hands and her skin is just softer, and guys, it's like, what the hell? I mean, it's obviously noticeable to me. I don't know who the hell you've been shaking hands with, but it is to me. Women do have more endurance. There is this, I saw this on the Joe Rogan podcast, and there is this lady, I will look her up real quick. Her name is Courtney. And her name is Courtney DeWalter or whatever. And she's like this ultra insane marathon runner, was named the Ultra Runner of the Year in 2018 by Ultra Magazine after winning 9 of the 12 races. Whenever she's on the Joe Rogan podcast here talking about this, the run took like 3 days nonstop, and she came in first place. The second place winner came in 10 hours later. Joe Rogan was making fun of the situation, just joking because he's a comedian. And he said, you came in 10 hours before second place. That whenever this guy came in, you could have gone home, taken an 8-hour nap, showered, eaten, came back, and he still could not have been there. But you could have been there applauding him, completely refreshed. Oh! So I didn't know that at the time, and that's whenever I looked into it more and was like, oh, women do have a higher threshold for endurance. So, and then the facts is that men are not even the same as other men, and women too. There are men out there who are bigger than me, smaller than me, make more money than me, smarter than me, dumber than me. What the hell are you talking about? More men get into STEM fields, and STEM, that's short for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And those fields tend to pay a lot more than the normal degree. So if you are going off to university, and if your priority is making a lot of money, and the rest of it's kind of, it's nice, but if it's money, then look into STEM. And then Thomas Sowell in his video, he's got where it's years old, and he's talking about with his studies, with all this stuff, that this is something that happens with every single group around the world. That there's nowhere where any of this that they proclaim can happen or does happen or nothing. That what does happen is that everything is different. And why? It's because of variables. It's like, so why do people do what they do? Well, a lot of this is because of money. So how much money did you have for college? Well, part of that is going to be, well, did you work any in high school? How rich are your parents? Did one or both of your parents work? How many houses did they have? How many houses do you own? How smart are you? What kind of education did you have? How many brothers and sisters did you have? What about cars? Did you have to get any kind of grants or loans? Or again, were your parents able to help you to pay for that? Or your grandparents? Did you have extended family members? What college or university did you go to? Because they're not all the same either. Some of them cost more than others. I mean, for example, if you go off to Harvard, you're going to pay a lot more for that. So what are you talking about? Well, one of the incredibly limitless variables out there is, what do you do with your money? Did you go into it with any debt? Or were you claimed? Did you have any credit cards or not? If you got credit cards, did you rack them all up or not? Whenever you get done with college, who did you marry? Or did you marry? Are you alone? Or do you have someone else to help you out? One of the things that also happens is that whenever a man and woman are both bringing in roughly the same income, and they get married, that it's pretty common for the woman to stop working, and she will stay at home. But the man will not stop working, even if she's making enough. And so if she wants to continue to work, then they're both working. So what this means is that, we'll stick with the doctor. If you are a doctor and your wife is not working and she's staying at home, taking care of the house and the children, for example, then whenever he comes home, he's able to keep up with the latest medical stuff. He's able to have more free time to keep up with all this in the medical journals. But if they're both working, if she's a doctor, but he's still working and he's doing whatever, then whenever she comes home, then they have to split everything up. It's like, okay, well, who's going to do what with the kids and cooking and everything else? Because they're both working. And so she doesn't have that time to do that. So that's another thing. And so, yeah, what was your education? Because everybody's education is different. What was your home life? Because it was all different. What about your brothers and sisters? Because it's all different. What about your friends? Because it's all different. What about your teachers? Because it's all different. It's dumb. And then, I forget who said this one. I think it was Ben Shapiro. Or if it wasn't him, it was Thomas Sowell. Young male doctors work on average 500 hours more a year than young female doctors. So of course they get paid more. I think it was Thomas Sowell whenever he was doing. Yeah, it was Thomas Sowell whenever he was doing his research. And another fact is that women take out time to have children. Duh, men don't get pregnant. There's no amount of surgery or chemicals that you can pump into me where I'm ever going to be able to get pregnant, period. If you ever read an article that says that a man's gotten pregnant, it is a lie because she has a uterus. So some studies is that Thomas Sowell did this. This is literally what he did. And I don't know if it's in 83, it's just as far back as I know, but it's definitely there. And watch that show with Firing Line with William F. Buckley Jr. And just, I tell you what, I just want to beat my head in the desk whenever I see that. And so it's been refuted decades ago. Why are we still talking about this? You know what's happened over the decades? Is that the people who claim that there's a pay gap, they have added absolutely nothing to their arguments from decades ago. It's all the same talking points. You know what's happened on the other side? Their talking points have strengthened. You know why? Because the research backs them. Corruption is all. So stupid responses, right now, as far as I know, anything said in favor of a pay gap, that's coming from people who don't have a damn clue what they're talking about. That's why I want this website, so you can go to it and all this information is going to be there. People will be able to put all this stuff, thumbs it up, thumbs it down, and you have to have proof. You have to have evidence. You know what's not proof? Your personal experiences. That's anecdotal. You can take that and you can shove it right up your butt. I want the truth. Definitions, and all the time. This is the second time I've done one of these things, but again, it is not clear. Again, and this is going to happen. This is going to be a constant theme, is that one side is going to have a clear definition, such as, well, this is what a man is, this is what a woman is, and the other side is going to say, no. And this is what Ben Shapiro actually talks about. And so, in order to help really deal with this, let's be clear. So, what is a man? What is a woman? What is a unicorn? Because depending on who you're asking, that matters. Are you a fairykin, zer, whatever? It's like, shut up. Or are gender social constructs, and you can just be what you want to be. And so if that's the case, then why doesn't she just go out and proclaim that she's a man and go and do the soccer? Because that was with that Ben Shapiro talking about Megan Rapinoe. And he shows a little clip where she's talking. He's like, I just do as much as, and she lists her accomplishments, and I do just as work as the men do. It's like, no, you don't. That's why you're not on their team. Go play against him. See what happens. Oh, he does such a good job. He just tore that crap up. And the thing is that they get confused about what equal of opportunity means. In other words, there are not cops who are preventing people from doing a damn thing. It's like, you want to go do it, then go do it. And that is different versus equal outcome. It's like, oh, well, I did this one work based off of this one or two variables, so I should get paid the same. It's like, no, you did not produce the same. That's why you're not getting paid the same. It happens everywhere. You know it. Haven't you worked a job and you've seen that, yeah, there are some people who work, and there are some people who like to slide in under the radar and do nothing. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I've seen that a billion times. Who the hell are you that you have so much money and so much going on for you that you've never had to work a job and you haven't experienced that? It's like, must be nice. Privilege, just... And again, why do people not produce the same results? Because of all the variables that we've already talked about. Occurrences. This was years ago, but the BBC did an audit because they wanted to tackle this wage gap. And you know what they found out? That they were actually paying their women more, and they had to give the men raises. I don't even know how they did that, because it's like you can't come up with this one way or the other, because there's too many variables. And if you watch that show Firing Line with Buckley and Sowell, that's what he keeps talking about. You didn't break down the data enough. Whenever he's talking to that lady that's there, it's like you're just, there's more specific data. You didn't break it down enough. It's like that example I gave with the hospitals and the doctors. It's like, yeah, you did, and that's all right, but your whole thing behind it was wrong. And so some questions is, okay, well then answer this. Why is the fastest woman not going and running against the fastest man, or any other physical achievements? Any of them. Well, why does this not happen? Why do they have a separation between men's teams and women's teams? Because they're not the same. I mean, they even have that with men's teams. You know that they've got really good leagues, and then they have lower leagues. It's like, yes, because not even men and men are the same. And then this soccer player's also crying about how I'm not getting paid as much as them. And Ben Shapiro brings up a good point. It's like, well, or actually he may not have brought this up exactly, but maybe he did. But how much money do the women's events bring in versus the men? Yeah, he did. And it's like, well, the men bring in a hell of a lot more money. So that's also a thing too. It's like, how about you just shut the hell up? And if you want to get paid more, then why don't you go and change it up so that more people want to watch you? Why don't you do something? What's keeping you? Are you saying that the only thing that you can do is go out there and play soccer? That there's absolutely nothing else that you can bring to it to make it more entertaining? I mean, I'm sure that it's difficult. I'm not saying that it's easy. But, I mean, I don't know what else that you expect. That we should just all get down and worship you just because you're a girl? I'm not doing that. Not at all. And I don't give a damn who you are. I don't give a damn if you're my mom, you're my family member, friend, whatever. Just because of your genetic makeup, I'm not going to treat you any better than anyone else. It's like, no. I'll treat you nice if you treat me nice, but I'm not going to treat you... I mean, I'll treat you special if you're my wife, my daughter. But other than that, if women are getting paid less than men, then why do men even hire... I was like, what am I talking about? What was his point? Okay, so if women are getting paid less than men, then why do men ever get hired when you could do, whenever you could pay a woman less for the same job? If they're really getting paid less, and they're both producing the same, then why would men ever get hired? Who would do that? Well, maybe there's all those variables. And then, I mean, kind of a side thing. I mean, even if it was law, how do you enforce it whenever you can't even stop murder? And I know that doesn't mean that you don't try. If you really have something that could work and make things better, but it really could, it's like, that's one thing, but just going around and pouting about it, especially with no evidence, with nothing behind it, it's like, shut up. And so then links in the description down below. And so this is what the website's it's gonna have the pros and the cons on both sides. I can't put it all down. It's way too much information. People can propose their interests, their concerns, their questions, and all this stuff in the appropriate place, thumbs up, thumbs down, and see what we can also do to answer these things, because we have the technology to do this. We have the computers, the internet, and all this stuff where we should know. We should not be doing this anymore. And I'm not going to go and cry to anybody. I'm just going to do it myself. So I hope you've liked and enjoyed, and if so, and you're tired of being lied to, you're tired of wasting your time, thumbs up, like, subscribe, become a member. I've got Patreon and subscribe star. Leave some comments down below too if you got some questions. Shoot them my way. I'll try to take note and get to them the next time I do this, because this will not be the last time. And so thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.